Hidden beneath the lush green hills of Shaanxi Province, China, lies a place where history fades into legend, a place shrouded in mystery and secrecy. This is the tomb of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor who succeeded in unifying all of China under a single rule. For over 2 millennia, this grand mausoleum has remained remarkably preserved, untouched by time. Not only is the site protected by an army of imposing terracotta warriors, but it is also enveloped by countless tales of hidden treasures, lethal traps, and unsolved enigmas. While the terracotta army itself has been excavated and now stands among the greatest archaeological discoveries of the world, the emperor's central burial chamber, said to hold the remains of China's most powerful ruler, still lies undiscovered and unexplored. Spanning an area of 56 square kilometers, the tomb complex sits close to Xi'an, and its construction began when Qin Shi Huang was merely a 13-year-old prince. The enormous project continued throughout his reign and was only completed after his death. Ancient records reveal a staggering workforce of over 700 laborers, making it the largest construction endeavor of its era. Surrounding the main tomb are hundreds of pits filled with life-size clay figures of soldiers, chariots, and war horses. Every statue was crafted with astonishing precision. No two faces or suits of armor are alike, giving the impression that each figure once walked the earth as a living being. The ancient historian Sima Qian once depicted the tomb as a magnificent subterranean palace, a detailed miniature of the emperor's vast empire. According to historical chronicles, the tomb holds rivers of mercury, representing China's great waterways, designed to flow eternally through its chambers. The ceiling was embedded with pearls, recreating a star-studded sky, while precious treasures, miniature palaces, and officials were entombed to serve the emperor in the afterlife. Ingenious traps, such as automatic crossbows triggered by intruders, were built to safeguard the tomb's secrets. Legend further claims that many craftsmen involved in the tomb's construction were executed buried alive to ensure its location remained an eternal mystery. In recent years, modern surveys utilizing advanced technologies confirmed that beneath the enormous mound lies a vast structure, and the surrounding soil contains abnormally high levels of mercury, precisely matching ancient accounts. Yet no archaeologist has dared to unearth the emperor's final resting place. The primary reason is fear that any excavation attempt could irrevocably damage what lies within. When the terracotta army was first exposed, the vibrant pigments of the statues faded within minutes of contact with air. Additionally, the mercury-laden soil poses grave risks to human health and the environment, potentially as catastrophic as a chemical disaster. Moreover, current preservation technologies still struggle to stabilize fragile artifacts such as ancient silk and paper, making the task of safeguarding the emperor's legacy an ongoing challenge. While modern technology has come a long way, crucial documents and advanced preservation methods are still far from ready to handle a task as monumental as excavating the tomb of Qin Shi Huang. Beyond the scientific challenges, profound spiritual and cultural considerations are at play. In Chinese tradition, imperial tombs are regarded as sacred ground, places of immense reverence. Disturbing them would not only be seen as a breach of respect toward the ancestors, but also as an affront to the very fabric of China's national heritage. Qin Shi Huang's tomb holds a significance far beyond other burial sites. It stands as a symbol of unity, absolute power, and the birth of imperial China. It's not just ordinary citizens who approach this topic with caution. Even the government remains highly secretive, withholding detailed survey data from public access. Many scholars and insiders believe that the emperor's tomb may conceal secrets the world isn't prepared to confront. Some of the boldest theories suggest that deep inside the mausoleum, there might lie ancient knowledge lost to time, artifacts from an advanced civilization, or technologies far ahead of their era. Every year, millions of visitors flock to witness the awe-inspiring terracotta army. Yet the central burial mound, believed to house the emperor's actual resting place, still stands untouched, a silent testament to ancient power, mystery, and unspoken history. Saw the lost tomb of Genghis Khan. Far away, beneath the vast, open skies and endless rolling steppes of Mongolia, there lies a mystery that has withstood the test of time for over 8 centuries. This is the legendary lost tomb of Genghis Khan, the man who forged the largest contiguous empire in human history. Despite his monumental influence and status as one of the greatest conquerors ever, no trace of his final resting place has ever been found. How is it possible that the burial site of such a pivotal figure vanished without leaving even the smallest clue? Was it merely lost over time, or was it deliberately hidden? According to ancient accounts and folklore, his tomb is thought to shelter priceless treasures gathered from every corner of the Mongol Empire. Amid the rugged mountains and boundless grasslands of northern Mongolia, the exact location of Genghis Khan's tomb remains elusive beyond the reach of modern archaeologists, intrepid explorers, and treasure hunters alike. Though he passed away in 1227, no definitive record exists to indicate where his body was interred. Unlike the highly structured tomb of Qin Shi Huang or the majestic pyramids of Egypt, Genghis Khan's burial site left no surface traces. According to legend, the emperor himself had ordered to be buried in absolute secrecy, leaving no markers for future generations. The Secret History of the Mongols, the oldest surviving chronicle of Mongol history, simply records the year of his death, omitting any mention of the burial site. Even Marco Polo, who lived during the reign of Genghis Khan's grandson, wrote that the Mongols themselves were unaware of the tomb's location. Folklore tells chilling stories. After the emperor died during a military campaign in northern China, his body was transported back to Mongolia. To ensure the tomb's secrecy, the escort party reportedly killed every person they encountered on the way home. Some accounts go further, claiming that 20 people who attended the funeral were executed, and that the executioners were subsequently killed themselves, erasing all witnesses. 1,000 horses were allegedly ridden across the burial ground to obliterate every trace of the grave. Other legends speak of rivers being diverted to flood the tomb, or entire forests planted deliberately to conceal its location from prying eyes. To this day, the mystery of Genghis Khan's final resting place continues to baffle historians and archaeologists alike, a story of power, secrecy, and an empire's greatest enigma. One of the most haunting legends surrounding Genghis Khan's burial speaks of a young camel that was laid to rest alongside the great emperor. The story goes that in the years that followed, the mother camel would regularly return to the site, weeping over the grave of her lost offspring. Her persistent mourning allegedly guided Genghis Khan's descendants to the very place where their revered ancestor was interred. Yet, despite this deeply moving tale, not a single historical document or official record has ever confirmed the true location of the tomb. For decades, historians, archaeologists, and treasure hunters have proposed countless theories about the final resting place of the legendary conqueror. A widely held belief is that the tomb lies somewhere near Burkhan Khaldun, a sacred mountain where Genghis Khan was born and where he is said to have prayed before uniting the fierce Mongol tribes into a powerful empire. In recent years, cutting-edge technologies like drones, ground-penetrating radar, and satellite imagery have been deployed in the search for anomalies beneath the surface. Furthermore, crowdsourcing projects have engaged tens of thousands of volunteers worldwide, meticulously analyzing satellite data in hopes of detecting hidden structures. Still, every excavation attempt has been met with strong resistance from local Mongolian communities who regard the land as holy ground for them. Disturbing the soil would be a profound violation of their sacred traditions. Despite these modern efforts, all results remain speculative theories at best. The mystery of Genghis Khan's tomb is not merely about a physical location on a map. It's wrapped in layers of legend, cultural significance, and national identity. It is widely believed that if the tomb were ever discovered, it would contain vast treasures and priceless relics. ranging from rare artifacts collected from the Mongol Empire's vast expanse stretching from China to Persia to unimaginable historical knowledge. Some local tales even speak of guardian spirits and deadly curses afflicting those who dared approach the site, while other reports tell of bizarre accidents striking expeditions sent to uncover the hidden resting place. For the people of Mongolia, what matters most is the profound respect owed to their national hero. Genghis Khan was not only a ruthless conqueror, but also a visionary ruler who established foundations of governance still influential today, instituting religious freedom, a postal system, and even paper currency. They hold strong in their belief that his final wishes were for the tomb to remain untouched forever, and any attempt to intrude would be a grave dishonor to both their ancestors and the legacy of the Mongol nation. Today, despite the advancement of technology and the curiosity of scholars, the Khenti region remains an isolated and nearly inaccessible wilderness. Genghis Khan's tomb stands as an enigma forever out of humanity's reach. If one day the mystery were to be solved, the discovery could rival the archaeological triumphs of the Terracotta Army or the rediscovery of ancient lost scrolls thought gone forever. Yet, perhaps it is fitting that this tomb remains an eternal part of legend, protected by the vastness of the steppes, the silent rivers that flow across the land, and the ever-present shadows of galloping horses racing endlessly through history. Our transition to the next mystery, the Giant of Castel. Far from Mongolia, in the winter of 1890, in a small village named Castelnals, a new mystery emerged. The renowned anthropologist Georges Vacher de Lauge made a groundbreaking discovery when he unearthed 3 enormous bone fragments from a burial mound believed to date back to the Bronze Age. These massive bones, a section of a femur, part of a tibia, and what was thought to be a piece of an arm bone belonged to a human who stood over 11 feet tall, dwarfing any known human standard. The world was left to wonder. Was this remarkable find genuine proof of a long-lost race of giants that once roamed the earth, or merely a strange and improbable archaeological mistake? Georges Vacher de Lauge had never expected his expedition in Castelnals to yield such astonishing remains bones that challenged everything we know about human history. In 1890, the scientific journal La Nature published detailed measurements of the astonishing bones uncovered by Georges Vacher de Lauge. According to the report, these bone fragments were twice the size of those of an average modern human. The femur alone measured 14 centimeters in diameter, with a circumference of 16 centimeters, while the tibia stretched to 26 centimeters in length. The fragment of the arm bone was also described as unusually massive, far beyond anything typical for human anatomy. Based on these remarkable dimensions, Lauge boldly estimated that the individual must have stood an incredible 3.5 meters tall, over 11 feet, and weighed several hundred kilograms. He insisted without any doubt that these were indisputably human bones, despite their exceptional size. Later, the fragments were carefully sent to the University of Montpellier for expert evaluation. Leading specialists in zoology, paleontology, and anatomy analyzed the remains and concurred that they belonged to a being of extraordinary height. However, they also noted the possibility that the bones could have been the result of some pathological growth disorder rather than evidence of a giant race. Just a few years after this groundbreaking discovery, even more astonishing findings emerged. Near Melier, giant skulls and additional large bone fragments were unearthed. Some of these remains were believed to have come from individuals measuring anywhere between 10 to 15 feet tall. These finds were sent to the French Academy of Sciences for further investigation, yet, in a bizarre twist of fate, these artifacts subsequently vanished without a trace, leaving modern science unable to pursue their trail or draw definitive conclusions. As the mystery deepened, modern scholars began to question the true origin of the Castel bones. In 2022, anthropologist Catherine Hakan proposed a more skeptical theory, suggesting these fragments might actually belong to a giant prehistoric bear that once roamed the European landscapes. Indeed, in the 19th century, it was not unusual for large animal bones to be mistakenly identified as human, especially considering the limited anatomical knowledge of that era. But this theory raises more questions than it answers. If these bones were merely from a large animal, why did the leading experts at Montpellier unanimously confirm their human origin at the time? And how is it possible that not a single modern re-examination of these remarkable fragments has ever been conducted? The story of the giant of Castel now transcends archaeology, stretching deep into the realms of myth, folklore, and legend. From the ancient cyclopes of Greek mythology to the Nephilim of biblical accounts, nearly every culture has tales of giants who once roamed the earth, wielding immense power and knowledge. Even today, in the village of Castel, locals whisper about a mysterious cave said to have sheltered a giant in centuries past. Moreover, 19th century newspapers boldly claimed that Longyou's discovery could be the missing link connecting modern science to ancient myths. Some theorists have gone even further, speculating that these bones could be traces of a lost civilization or more fantastically evidence of extraterrestrial visitors from another world. Still, the world of archaeology has long been plagued by hoaxes and exaggerations, often driven by religious agendas or financial greed. One infamous example is the Cardiff Giant, a large stone statue intentionally buried in 1869 to deceive the American public. Yet the fact that the leading scientific experts of the time examined and verified the Castel bones makes the hoax theory far less convincing in this particular case. Today, those bones that once shocked the world have mysteriously disappeared from every collection and archive. Their current whereabouts remain unknown, and they have never been subjected to modern scientific reanalysis. The Giant of Castel remains one of history's most puzzling mysteries, standing at the crossroads of science, legend, and wonder, forever tempting future generations to solve the riddle. The origin of the Giant of Castelnau remains one of history's most baffling riddles. If such a colossal being truly walked the earth, how is it possible that no additional evidence has ever surfaced in an area so abundant with archaeological treasures? And if the giant is purely a product of legend, why has this tale endured for centuries, persistently tantalizing the imagination of humankind? Far away in Liu County, nestled within the fertile landscapes of Xinjiang Province, China, lies one of the greatest unsolved archaeological enigmas ever uncovered by modern science. It is known as the Longyou Caves complex, a site as mesmerizing as it is perplexing. The extraordinary story of Longyou began almost by accident during the summer of 1992, when a local farmer attempted to drain water from a large natural pit near his home, intending only to expand his field for cultivation. He had no inkling that beneath the glassy, undisturbed surface of the water lay a vast underground cavern, a massive, perfectly sculpted structure. What stood out was not just its scale, but the meticulously even carvings adorning its flat walls, resembling something that could have been crafted by modern industrial machinery. Word of the discovery spread rapidly, stirring immense excitement and curiosity throughout the local village. Spurred on by wonder and ambition, the villagers began pumping water from neighboring pits, and what they unveiled next was beyond belief. An entire subterranean city, composed of over 20 interconnected caves, laid out with architectural precision. What makes the Longyou Caves truly mysterious, defying every known theory of ancient construction, is their sheer engineering perfection and grand scale. Each cavern soars more than 30 meters in height, with walls smoothed to a flawless finish. Their ceilings are perfectly domed, supported by intricately designed pillars aligned in precise geometric harmony. Every surface, walls, columns, and floors alike, is covered in parallel, wave-like carvings, extending in seamless patterns from the ceilings all the way down to the floors, as if following an unseen design manual. Yet, despite the vastness of this underground marvel, no human remains, artifacts, pottery, or tools have ever been found within the complex. There are no signs of dwellings, inscriptions, or evidence of any community having lived or toiled in this place. Who or what could have built the Longyou Caves? Based on geological erosion patterns and scientific dating techniques, archaeologists estimate that the complex is at least 20 years old, possibly dating back to the Qin or early Han dynasties. Still, not a single mention of Longyou Caves exists in any ancient Chinese chronicle or historical document. How could such a grandiose structure, requiring immense labor and skill, have vanished entirely from the annals of history? Numerous theories have been proposed, yet each seems to open even more perplexing questions. Some scholars suggest the caves were originally constructed as grain storage facilities, designed to preserve vast harvests in a controlled environment. Others argue they served as wartime shelters, a hidden refuge from invaders. A more speculative few believe they might be royal tombs, long forgotten over the centuries. Meanwhile, several Western researchers lean towards the idea that the caves were a sacred site or even a secret ceremonial complex constructed by a mysterious sect whose knowledge far exceeded their contemporaries. Perhaps the most baffling clue of all lies in the astonishing uniformity of the carvings. Nearly identical wave-like patterns are etched in every single chamber, suggesting the entire project was executed under a single unified direction. Moreover, the level of craftsmanship and precision hints at building techniques far beyond what any known civilization of that era is thought to have possessed. Could the Longyou Caves be the final legacy of a lost civilization, one erased by time and obscured by nature? Or were they built using construction methods now forgotten, secrets lost to history, buried deep within the earth and imagination? Even today, as centuries pass and modernity marches on, the long caves remain silent, lying undisturbed beneath lush rice fields. They stand as a quiet testament to the boundless creativity of ancient hands and to the enduring mystery of those who came before us. Until a deeper secret is uncovered, the Longyou Caves will stand as a haunting reminder that human history is far from fully written, a collection of unexplored pages, unresolved questions, and an enduring quest to grasp the origins of ancient marvels that continue to captivate generations of explorers and scholars alike. Far to the west, across deserts and mountains, hidden deep within the Bekaa Valley of Lebanon, lies another awe-inspiring enigma, the colossal Baalbek megaliths. Once a pivotal crossroads where ancient civilizations intersected, the ancient city of Baalbek has long remained shrouded in mystery. But no visitor arriving at this seemingly tranquil archaeological site could anticipate that beneath its weathered ruins lay some of the largest stone blocks ever known to mankind, so enormous in size and weight that their presence challenges the limits of modern engineering and defies logical explanation. At the heart of the mystery are the three legendary stones known collectively as the trilithon. Each of these mammoth blocks measures nearly 20 meters in length, stands over 4 meters high, and weighs between 750 and 800 tons. To help visualize their magnitude, each block is comparable in size and mass to a fully loaded Boeing airliner. These gigantic stones form the foundation of the fabled Temple of Jupiter, constructed by the Romans during the honest century AD. Yet their sheer scale far exceeds what the Romans were historically believed to be capable of handling. No documented Roman engineering device or construction technique is known that could have lifted or maneuvered stones of such mind-boggling weight and size. But the puzzle doesn't stop there. Nearby, in an ancient quarry site, lie even larger stones left untouched for millennia. Among them is the famously named Stone of the Pregnant Woman, weighing in at nearly 10 tons. Another block tips the scales at 242 tons. Most astonishingly, in 2014, archaeologists unearthed a monolithic block weighing an astounding 650 tons, considered the largest known stone block ever quarried by humankind. What makes this discovery particularly baffling is that these colossal stones remain in place at the quarry. They were apparently never transported to their intended destination, raising profound questions about the true purpose, capability, and intentions of the ancient builders. Throughout the decades, numerous theories have been proposed in an attempt to explain the mystery of Baalbek. A prevailing hypothesis suggests that the Romans employed wooden rollers, earth ramps, and sheer manpower to haul the stones from the quarry to the temple site. Yet this theory quickly unravels under scrutiny. Roman cranes of the time were only capable of lifting a maximum of 60 to 100 tons, nowhere near sufficient for the massive trilithon blocks. Moreover, there is absolutely no evidence of any system of sophisticated machinery or coordinated large-scale effort that could have achieved such a feat. No ancient texts, blueprints, or records describe such a construction process, making the notion even more implausible. For this reason, a growing number of scholars now speculate that the foundations of the Temple of Jupiter predate the Roman era itself. Perhaps they were laid by a lost civilization, one far older and more advanced than any known to history. Proponents of this theory point to striking parallels between Baalbek's megalithic construction and other monumental structures around the world, such as the Sacsayhuaman fortress in Peru or the Egyptian pyramids of Giza, where precisely cut giant stones are similarly placed with extraordinary precision. Could it be that humanity once wielded construction technologies long lost to time, surpassing our modern understanding of ancient capabilities? Despite exhaustive research and decades of study, the true origin of the Baalbek megaliths remains one of the most persistent and unresolved archaeological mysteries on Earth. There are no ancient records explaining how the giants of Baalbek were constructed. No detailed accounts, no step-by-step instructions. The tools that might have been used have vanished without a trace. All that remains are the silent, imposing stones themselves, standing firm across millennia, unyielding witnesses to a bygone era that resists every attempt by modern science to decipher their secrets. Far from the megaliths of Lebanon, in the quiet, hushed halls of Sweden's National Library, lies another of history's most chilling and enigmatic relics, the legendary Codex Gigas, often referred to as the Devil's Bible. This monumental manuscript is renowned not just for its sheer size, but for the eerie and dark tales that have clung to it for almost 800 years. Weighing nearly 75 kilograms and measuring 92 centimeters in length, 50 centimeters in width, and 22 centimeters in thickness, it is so enormous that a single person cannot carry it without using both arms. Experts estimate that creating this gigantic tome required hundreds of calfskin sheets, meticulously bound together to form 620 pages of mystery and knowledge. But what truly catapulted the Codex Gigas into the realm of legend is not its size, it's the unsettling aura of curses, supernatural power, and folklore that surrounds it. According to a legend that has endured since the 13th century, the story began in the region of Bohemia, present-day Czech Republic, where a desperate Benedictine monk committed an unspeakable crime. Condemned to the medieval punishment of being walled alive within the monastery, he faced a terrifying fate. But in his last desperate plea, the monk promised salvation to his soul if he were granted one miraculous night to write a book that would contain all human knowledge from sacred scriptures to the most esoteric sciences of medicine, history, and magic. Knowing such a task was impossible for a mere mortal, the tale says that the monk turned to darkness itself. In a pact with Satan, the devil appeared and completed the entire manuscript in a single night in exchange for the monk's eternal soul. In a macabre act of gratitude, or perhaps defiance, the monk painted the gigantic, grotesque portrait of the devil in the very center of the book, a demonic visage, unlike any other seen in sacred manuscripts. But this is only legend. Modern researchers have determined that the Codex Gigas was most likely completed in the early 13th century at the Podlages monastery. What continues to baffle scholars, however, is the perfect uniformity of handwriting and the consistent style found throughout all pages. It appears almost impossible that a single individual could have written such an immense volume alone, without any change in penmanship or style over the hundreds of pages. Contained within the Devil's Bible is far more than just the complete Latin Bible. It also holds extensive texts on history, anatomy, magic, astrology, and even detailed catalogs of demons and ancient spells. But perhaps the most haunting element is the massive illustration of Satan, depicted with glowing eyes, a fiery red tongue, and razor-sharp claws, a grotesque image deliberately placed in the middle of the manuscript. For centuries, the Codex Gigas has been shrouded in whispers of curses and misfortune. Many who have dared to own it reportedly suffered untimely tragedies or strange disasters, strengthening the belief that the book carries a dark, malevolent power. Over the passage of time, the Devil's Bible has witnessed countless upheavals, wars, political revolutions, and even theft. Yet through it all, it remains preserved to this day, a silent, towering testament to humanity's obsession with knowledge and the dangers of seeking power beyond the natural order. The Codex Gigas was once seized by Swedish forces as a war prize during the brutal 30 Years' War. In 1648, it was taken to Stockholm, where it has remained ever since, preserved as a priceless artifact shrouded in mystery. Legends persist that wherever the manuscript surfaces, disaster follows in its wake, be it plague, war, political upheaval, or the sudden collapse of entire dynasties. To this day, the Codex Gigas continues to draw throngs of scholars, theologians, and curious adventurers from around the world, each hoping to unlock its secrets. Until every page is fully deciphered, the Devil's Bible will remain a profound symbol of mankind's obsession, insatiable curiosity, and relentless quest to grasp truths still hidden from our understanding. Far from Europe, buried beneath the dry soil and rugged hills of the Anatolian Plateau in modern-day Turkey, lies another astonishing archaeological marvel, Göbekli Tepe. For centuries, this site lay silent, its importance forgotten by history until the final decade of the 20th century. In 1994, German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt struck the earth for the first time at Göbekli Tepe. Nobody could have foreseen that his modest shovel would reveal something so monumental that it would reshape our understanding of early human civilization. What slowly emerged were massive circles of limestone pillars, each standing up to 6 meters tall and weighing several tons. But the most astonishing revelation was its astonishing age, over 1100 years old. That's thousands of years before the invention of the wheel, the rise of agriculture, and even before the known use of metal tools. Göbekli Tepe predates both the Egyptian pyramids and Stonehenge, making it arguably the oldest known religious structure on Earth. These T-shaped pillars were not only colossal in scale, but each was intricately adorned with carvings of animals, lions, wild cattle, foxes, snakes, and an array of mysterious abstract symbols. Every engraving appeared to tell a silent story, offering a rare glimpse into the beliefs, worldview, and imagination of prehistoric humans. What perplexes researchers most is the fact that Göbekli Tepe was likely constructed by hunter-gatherer groups, societies traditionally considered small, nomadic, and incapable of organizing such an immense and sophisticated project. This discovery forces us to rethink the very foundation of human progress, particularly the relationship between religion, belief, and the emergence of complex societies. Even more puzzling is the deliberate decision made around 80 BC to bury the temple, as if its creators sought to seal away their knowledge forever. This intentional burial is what preserved the site so remarkably, keeping it hidden for millennia. Now, as Göbekli Tepe's ancient stones are unearthed and brought into the light for the first time in thousands of years, they do more than challenge conventional historical timelines. They raise profound, haunting questions. Could it be that human history runs far deeper and is far more mysterious than we ever dared to imagine? How many more ancient wonders, buried beneath layers of earth, still slumber, waiting patiently for the next generation of explorers to awaken them? At the edge of this profound mystery lies yet another enigma, beckoning us forward: the White Pyramid of China. Hidden beneath centuries of dust and secrecy in the remote Shanxi province of China stands the enigmatic structure known simply as the White Pyramid, one of the most baffling archaeological mysteries of our time. Far from being mere folklore, the tales surrounding it are living testaments to humanity's relentless drive to explore and our profound frustration when confronted by puzzles that refuse to yield their secrets. In 1945, during a routine transport flight over the mountainous terrain of northwestern China, American pilot James Gaussman reported spotting something extraordinary: a colossal pyramid standing in a secluded valley. Its four faces shimmered in brilliant white, so surreal that Gaussman's description seemed almost unbelievable. Just 2 years later, in 1947, another pilot, Maurice Shahan, confirmed Gaussman's account. He even managed to capture several blurry black and white photographs of the mysterious structure from the air, providing the first tangible evidence of its existence. When these reports and photographs reached the West, they created an immediate sensation, sparking the interest of archaeologists and journalists around the globe. But as the Second World War came to an end and China's political climate changed, the country's borders began to close tightly to foreign researchers. The area surrounding the supposed location of the White Pyramid was placed under strict military control. Over time, only a handful of local scholars were ever permitted to investigate the region. Official reports from Chinese authorities dismissed the claims altogether, insisting that the so-called pyramid was nothing more than a series of earthen burial mounds constructed for ancient emperors between the Qin and Tang dynasties. They asserted that no grand white pyramid of immense proportions, as described by Western pilots, had ever existed. Despite this official narrative, decades later, the mystery deepened. With the advent of satellite imagery, images released by both Western and Russian space agencies began to reveal something far stranger. Pyramid-like structures began to emerge in the barren landscapes of Shanxi. Some of these structures rose between 50 and over 100 meters tall, making them significantly larger than the famous pyramids of Egypt. Their sheer scale, isolated location, and mysterious white appearance defy explanation. Are these just natural formations, ancient burial sites, or could they be the remains of a lost civilization deliberately hidden from history? For now, the White Pyramid remains a silent sentinel of the past, a monument to the unknown that continues to beckon explorers, researchers, and conspiracy theorists alike, daring them to uncover the truth. One remarkable detail about the White Pyramid is the enduring legend of its brilliant white surface. Local traditions say that the structure was once coated in a layer of pure white limestone or clay, reflecting the sun's rays so intensely that it stood out like a beacon against the dull gray mountains that surround it. Some Western scholars have drawn comparisons to the Great Pyramid of Giza, arguing that the White Pyramid's estimated height of around 300 meters, combined with a base perimeter exceeding 450 meters, would make it an architectural marvel, surpassing the ancient wonders of Egypt. But who could have built such a colossal structure, and for what purpose? Theories surrounding the White Pyramid are as diverse and mysterious as the monument itself. Many mainstream archaeologists suggest that it was simply an imperial burial mound, constructed to glorify Chinese emperors and their absolute power. Yet those captivated by unsolved mysteries propose something far more enigmatic: that the White Pyramid is a relic of a forgotten ancient civilization, one that existed long before China's recorded dynasties. More radical theories even suggest that the pyramid functioned as a religious sanctuary or an astronomical observatory, analogous to the pyramids of the Maya or ancient structures in Egypt. Proponents of this idea point out that many of the pyramids in Shanxi appear aligned with specific constellations, echoing the carefully calculated celestial alignments seen in Egypt's Giza Plateau. Some theorists have gone even further, linking these immense structures to extraterrestrial civilizations, an idea as intriguing as it is unproven. Yet all of these hypotheses face a single immutable fact. To this day, no one outside of China's archaeological community has been granted full access to excavate or study these pyramids in a comprehensive, scientific manner. Many tombs remain untouched, for there exists a strong cultural belief that disturbing an emperor's slumber invites disaster upon the living. This makes the White Pyramid not just a marvel of ancient architecture, but a powerful symbol of prohibition and mystery, where the boundary between reality and legend remains unbroken. Today, satellite imagery and covert expeditions have only intensified the pyramid's allure. Far from being a forgotten relic, the White Pyramid stands as a challenge to the modern world, a silent, enigmatic sentinel daring explorers and scholars alike to reveal the hidden layers of human history. Could it be that buried beneath earth and stone lies an unwritten chapter of civilization? And will the day ever come when the world's most powerful secrets are finally unearthed, allowing us to gaze upon the full scale of the monumental structure that once stood proud on the banks of the Yellow River? It all began at an ordinary construction site on Al-Karaly Street in Alexandria, a city once celebrated as the cultural, intellectual, and political heart of the ancient Mediterranean world. As workers dug the foundations for a new building, they unexpectedly unearthed a massive stone block buried deep beneath the earth. Archaeologists were swiftly called to the scene. After painstakingly clearing nearly 5 meters of soil and rubble, an astonishing object emerged: a rectangular coffin carved entirely from black granite, measuring almost 2.7 meters long, 1.5 meters wide, and over 1.8 meters tall, and weighing close to 30 tons. This sarcophagus was unlike almost any ever discovered in Alexandria or anywhere else in Egypt. Next to it lay an alabaster bust, its features worn smooth by time, rendering the identity of the tomb's occupant an even greater mystery. Typically, Royal or noble sarcophagi are adorned with hieroglyphs, intricate carvings, or detailed paintings proclaiming names, titles, and achievements. But this black granite coffin was entirely unadorned, save for a plasticele long eroded away by the passage of centuries. Such anonymity fueled widespread speculation. Was this the hidden grave of an important figure whose role in history had been deliberately obscured? Rumors and conspiracy theories swirled. Some whispered that this could be the final resting place of Alexander the Great, the legendary conqueror and founder of Alexandria, whose body has remained missing for over 2 millennia. Others wondered whether the sarcophagus concealed an ancient curse, as popularized by the tales surrounding King Tutankhamun's tomb ever since Howard Carter's sensational discovery in 1922. Curiosity reached its peak in July 2018 when experts resolved to open the sarcophagus, spurred by its immense size and mysterious emptiness. The operation demanded advanced lifting equipment and strict safety precautions to guard against the release of toxic gases or biological hazards. When the lid was finally pried open, those present held their breath. Inside was neither an intact mummy nor treasure as some had hoped. Instead, a foul stench permeated the air, the product of filthy water having seeped in over thousands of years, mixing with decomposing bodies to form a thick, reddish-brown liquid. Bizarre rumors quickly spread. Some even requested permission to drink the sarcophagus water, believing it might bestow supernatural power, forcing Egyptian authorities to issue stern health warnings to the public. Forensic analysis soon revealed the true contents. 3 skeletons stacked atop one another, 2 men and a woman. There was no trace of royalty, no gold, no precious burial goods. One skeleton displayed skull fractures indicative of violent death, possibly linked to warfare or conflict. Carbon dating of teeth and bones placed the remains around the 4th century BC, during the early Hellenistic period when Alexandria thrived as one of the world's most prosperous cities. What puzzled scientists the most was why such a rare, enormous, and expensive black granite sarcophagus had been used to entomb 3 seemingly ordinary individuals buried without ceremony, inscriptions, or indication of status. Some theorized these could have been members of a forgotten noble family, soldiers who perished in chaotic battle, or high-ranking officials whose names were deliberately erased from history for political reasons. Others speculated that a religious taboo might have forced their identities into oblivion, their names erased forever. The use of black granite itself was remarkable. This material would have had to be transported from Aswan, hundreds of miles to the south of Alexandria, an incredible logistical feat requiring vast resources and significant expense. Why would such a precious and enduring stone be chosen for a completely anonymous tomb? The truth remains elusive. The discovery of the black sarcophagus is not merely an archaeological event. It stands as proof that history has a way of burying its strangest tales and most forgotten lives, right in the heart of a city once celebrated as the Jewel of the East. Even after thousands of tombs, relics, and ancient treasures have been unearthed, Egypt continues to guard countless secrets slumbering beneath the earth. But the mysteries of history do not stop there. The Piri Reis map, amidst the Mediterranean seas of the 16th century, an even stranger enigma quietly appeared in the form of an old map drawn by a Turkish cartographer. It is known today as the Piri Reis map, a historical document whose very existence challenges our understanding of ancient exploration and science. Drafted in 1513 by Admiral Piri Reis, this map has confounded researchers for centuries, not just for its remarkable geographical accuracy, but also for including details that seem far beyond the scientific capabilities of the Middle Ages. Today, only one-third of the original map remains, but even that fragment is enough to leave scholars from both the West and the East perplexed. The map shows the western coast of Africa, the eastern coast of South America, and most astonishingly, the northernmost part of Antarctica, a continent not officially discovered by modern explorers until over 3 centuries later. Even stranger are the intricate details depicting Antarctica free of ice, as though the cartographer had access to ancient knowledge from a time before the Ice Age. Piri Reis himself claimed in his notes that he had relied on over 20 ancient maps, some dating back to Greek and Roman times, and others supposedly from explorers like Columbus. Yet none of these known maps fully explain the precise accuracy of coastlines, nor how Antarctica could be represented as ice-free. Countless theories have emerged. Some scholars argue that Piri Reis inherited ancient knowledge long lost to modern humanity, possibly linked to a highly advanced prehistoric civilization, perhaps even Atlantis, which possessed surveying techniques far ahead of its time. Others believe the map is nothing more than an elaborate patchwork of myths, sailor tales, and imaginative exaggerations. Still, no definitive explanation has surfaced. The Piri Reis map is not merely an old document. It stands as a mirror reflecting the limits of human perception. How could a 16th century Ottoman admiral chart such accurate geographical features when the surveying tools of the time were so rudimentary? Was there really a prehistoric civilization with extraordinary knowledge? Or is it merely a coincidence, one of history's many unsolved puzzles? To this day, the map lies silently in the Topkapi Palace Museum in Istanbul, an unresolved riddle and a challenge left to all future generations. It does not just tell the story of the bravery of those who sailed the seas, but stands as powerful evidence of humanity's insatiable curiosity, relentless thirst for discovery, and the mysteries that remain just beyond our grasp. Vanishing of the Clovis people. The story of the Clovis people began in the 1930s when archaeologists unearthed a collection of uniquely crafted, sophisticated stone spear points at a site near the city of Clovis, New Mexico. These remarkable artifacts were quickly dated to around 1300 years ago, serving as compelling proof of the existence of an advanced and enigmatic hunting culture in prehistoric North America. Regarded as masters of stone technology, the Clovis people developed weapon-making techniques so innovative that even modern researchers continue to study them, seeking to understand their precise craftsmanship. With their sharp, durable tools and weapons, they survived by hunting massive, now extinct creatures, such as mammoths, North American camels, and giant deer, skillfully navigating the harsh and unforgiving conditions at the tail end of the Ice Age. Yet, despite their apparent strength and ingenuity, the Clovis culture abruptly vanished from all archaeological records within just a few hundred years, a disappearance as sudden as it was inexplicable. Scientists remain divided in their attempts to unravel this ancient mystery. Some theories propose that drastic climate change, marked by rapid warming and violent environmental shifts, led to the extinction of the large animals upon which the Clovis people depended. Without their primary food sources, their survival would have been impossible, dragging the once thriving society into collapse. Other researchers suggest a far more dramatic possibility, a meteorite disaster. Supporting this idea, evidence of cosmic glass, carbon dust layers, and traces of widespread wildfires has been discovered across numerous ancient sites dated to the same period. Could a catastrophic meteor impact have obliterated this culture in an instant? leaving only silence in its wake. Yet another theory speculates that the Clovis people did not vanish at all, but migrated further into unknown lands, blending into other populations or losing their distinct cultural identity over time. The question of the Clovis people's origin, and more importantly, their final fate, is not merely an American archaeological puzzle. It is a chapter in the grand saga of human history, a humbling reminder of how fragile even the most advanced civilizations can be when confronted by nature's unstoppable forces. Their disappearance stands as an eternal warning that a thriving culture, no matter how advanced, can fade into oblivion, leaving behind only faint traces, fragments of stone, and whispers in the earth for future generations to piece together in search of meaning. Could it be that somewhere, buried deep in the layers of time, the full story of the Clovis people still waits to be revealed? Today, as archaeologists tirelessly continue to excavate ancient sites, meticulously analyzing every fragment of earth, bone, and stone, the story of the Clovis people remains an endless source of inspiration. Scientists, writers, and history enthusiasts alike are captivated by their legacy, driven to ask profound questions about the nature of life, survival, and the inevitable decline that every civilization in the world must one day face. Rohan Codex, hidden away in the dusty archives of a small library in Hungary, lies a strange and enigmatic book that has baffled scholars for nearly 2 centuries. This is the Rohan Codex, a mysterious manuscript that, to this very day, no one in the world has been able to read, decipher, or fully understand. Discovered in the early 19th century in the town of Rohan, the codex consists of over 400 weathered manuscript leaves, each stained by time and shrouded in secrecy. Its rough pages are densely covered with thousands of symbols, an entirely unknown writing system that does not resemble any other language or ancient script ever documented. What makes the Rohan Codex even more perplexing is the presence of over 80 bizarre illustrations woven throughout its pages. These images depict scenes of daily life, religious ceremonies, warfare, and mysterious figures laden with obscure religious symbolism. Some drawings bear faint echoes of Christianity, while others seem influenced by Islam and pagan traditions, creating a baffling blend of belief systems. Who was the author of this cryptic manuscript? Why would someone invent such an indecipherable script, and what hidden message were they determined to pass down through generations? Over the decades, researchers have proposed countless theories. Some argue that it was a prayer book belonging to a secretive sect that once operated in Central Europe, a community seeking to protect sacred knowledge from outsiders. Others believe it might be the encoded record of an ancient religious order, deliberately masking its words to remain forever concealed. Meanwhile, a number of modern scholars have raised doubts about the codex's authenticity, suggesting it could be an elaborate 19th century hoax crafted solely to challenge and bewilder historians, cryptographers, and linguists alike. Regardless of its true origin, the Rohan Codex remains defiantly silent. Teams of dedicated linguists, cryptographers, and historians have poured immense effort into its study, applying every known method, from traditional linguistic comparison to advanced digital analysis. Yet, not a single coherent line of meaning has been extracted from its pages. Even in an era where technology has unlocked countless ancient texts, from dead languages to hidden messages buried deep within the Egyptian pyramids, the Rohan Codex stands as an unsolved enigma, daring modern science to break its code. Like so many of history's greatest mysteries, this unreadable manuscript reminds us that no matter how advanced human civilization becomes, there will always be shadows of the past that refuse to be illuminated. stone spheres of Costa Rica, far away from European archives, nestled amidst the dense tropical rainforests and vast southern plains of Costa Rica. Hundreds of strange stone spheres lie scattered across the landscape, silent and stoic. These perfectly shaped spheres seem like guardians of a forgotten civilization, a people whose entire existence has been erased from the annals of history. The rising waters slowly began to swallow Doggerland, transforming lush meadows and dense forests into a submerged world hidden beneath the waves. Archaeological and geological evidence suggests that this process was not gradual alone, but punctuated by a catastrophic event, a massive tsunami, possibly triggered by a sudden underwater landslide or seismic activity. This devastating wave inundated large portions of the land in an instant, forever altering the landscape and erasing entire communities from history. What makes the story of Doggerland especially haunting is how little is known about the people who once lived there. Unlike other ancient civilizations, no written records, monumental structures, or visible archaeological remnants remain above water today. Most of what we know comes from sediment cores extracted from the seabed and rare artifacts dredged from fishing nets by trawlers. These fragments, stone tools, animal bones, and ancient pollen samples paint a picture of a thriving, self-sufficient society deeply connected to the land and the changing climate. They lived in small, scattered communities, using simple but effective tools to hunt, fish, and gather, seemingly adapted to a world that was already beginning to disappear. As the waters continued to rise over the millennia, their land was slowly erased, becoming the seabed we know today. Yet some researchers believe that the memory of Doggerland was not lost entirely. Folklore from coastal communities in northern Europe contains vague tales of a great land that vanished beneath the waves, stories passed down through generations like distant echoes of a forgotten past. Doggerland stands as one of the most profound reminders of the fragility of human existence in the face of nature's unstoppable forces. It raises deep questions. How did the people adapt in the face of rising waters? Did they foresee their impending doom, or were they taken by surprise? Were there attempts at migration, and could some of their descendants have survived elsewhere? In recent years, advances in underwater archaeology have begun to illuminate fragments of this lost world. High-resolution sonar mapping and deep-sea excavation techniques have revealed ancient riverbeds, forest remains, and submerged habitation sites, windows into a world that once flourished but is now hidden. Yet despite these advances, Doggerland remains a mystery that teases scientists and explorers alike. How many of its secrets lie buried, awaiting discovery beneath thousands of meters of silt and salt water? Was this forgotten land simply a victim of climate change, or did it conceal a culture with knowledge and traditions lost to time? As the waves continued to wash over Doggerland's silent grave, the story of this lost civilization whispers a cautionary tale, a testament to the impermanence of human achievements in the face of Earth's shifting destiny. Yet, despite their ingenuity, the mysterious crack that appeared in the unfinished obelisk remains unexplained. Some experts suggest that natural flaws within the granite itself may have caused the fissure, while others propose that the pressure from the expanding wooden wedges or a miscalculation in the carving process led to the collapse. Regardless of the cause, the project was never resumed, and the obelisk still lies in its original position, a colossal testament to ancient ambition and human limitation. The unfinished obelisk stands as the largest known ancient monolithic structure ever quarried, offering invaluable insights into the engineering prowess of the ancient Egyptians. Scholars study the marks, grooves, and drill holes left in the granite to reconstruct the techniques used by workers thousands of years ago, long before modern machinery existed. Each detail tells a story of painstaking effort, relentless determination, and an unyielding quest to touch the divine through monumental architecture. Interestingly, the obelisk provides more than technical data. It raises profound philosophical questions about human endeavor. Why undertake a project of such scale, knowing the risks involved? Was it purely an act of devotion to the gods, a demonstration of royal power, or an attempt to transcend mortality by leaving behind an eternal legacy? The abandonment of the project may also reflect the ancient Egyptians' respect for nature's unpredictability. Some theorists argue that the decision to leave the obelisk untouched once the crack appeared was deliberate, symbolizing humility before the forces of the earth and acknowledging that not all endeavors can be forced to completion. Today, visitors to the Aswan Quarry can still see the massive structure lying in its cradle of granite, its sheer scale inspiring awe and wonder. The unfinished obelisk stands not only as an archaeological treasure, but also as a monument to human ambition and the eternal mystery of why some dreams remain incomplete. Just as the obelisk was abandoned yet preserved, so too do countless enigmas from ancient civilizations continue to whisper to us across millennia. Each artifact, each fragment of stone, and each unsolved mystery urges us to reflect on the transient nature of human achievement and the boundless curiosity that drives us to seek answers in the face of the unknown. This technique suggests incredible precision and an extraordinary understanding of geometry and engineering. Rather than assembling pieces, the entire temple was sculpted in situ, as if the rock itself had been carefully transformed into a sacred monument. But why did the artisans choose to carve downward from the mountaintop instead of building from the ground up? Some scholars argue that this approach provided structural stability, reducing the risk of collapse during construction. Others propose that it symbolized the descent into the divine, aligning with spiritual beliefs that link the underworld and the heavens. Yet, no definitive written records survive to explain the rationale behind this remarkable process. Adding to the enigma, the temple's intricate details are breathtakingly elaborate sculptures of deities, lions, elephants, and celestial beings cover every surface. Some carvings depict scenes of ancient rituals, while others appear as astronomical symbols, suggesting the temple was more than just a place of worship. It may have served as an ancient observatory or a repository of cosmic knowledge. The mystery deepens when considering the tools supposedly available to the temple's creators. According to conventional archaeology, the artisans had only rudimentary chisels, hammers, and other primitive instruments, yet the precision of the cuts rivals modern technology. Recent analyses of the basalt surface revealed tool marks too fine to have been made without advanced techniques, sparking speculation about lost knowledge or forgotten methods now beyond our comprehension. Another unanswered question surrounds the purpose of the Kayasa temple. Was it dedicated to a particular deity, or was it intended as a grand monument to human ingenuity and spiritual power? Some theorists suggest it was built by an ancient, highly advanced civilization that predated recorded history, perhaps one whose knowledge was deliberately erased or forgotten over millennia. Regardless of the origin or intent, the Kayasa temple continues to awe visitors and researchers alike. It stands not only as a feat of architectural brilliance, but as a silent guardian of ancient mysteries. Every perfectly carved wall and every enigmatic relief urges us to wonder, how far did human capability reach in the distant past? And what untold stories lie buried beneath layers of rock and history? In the end, the Kyasa Temple remains a monument to ambition, mystery, and the relentless human desire to connect with something greater than ourselves. The Library of Alexandria was not merely a repository of scrolls, it was the crown jewel of ancient knowledge, a beacon of human curiosity and intellectual ambition. It is said to have housed hundreds of thousands of papyrus scrolls containing the collective wisdom of the ancient world, works of philosophy, mathematics, astronomy, medicine, engineering, and countless other disciplines. Scholars from across the Mediterranean flocked to its halls, exchanging ideas and expanding the boundaries of human understanding. Legend has it that the library was part of the larger Mausoleum complex, an institution dedicated to the Muses, where scholars could live, study, and conduct experiments. Every document brought to Alexandria, regardless of origin, was copied and cataloged. Ships docking in the harbor were searched for scrolls, which were either copied for the library or retained for their original owners while the copies were stored. Such was the insatiable thirst for knowledge that the library became a central hub of intellectual activity, rivaling anything the ancient world had ever known. Yet, despite its grandeur, the Library of Alexandria remains shrouded in tragedy and mystery. Accounts of its destruction are contradictory and incomplete. Some claim Julius Caesar's fire during the siege of Alexandria in 48 BC accidentally consumed part of the collection. Others suggest subsequent political turmoil, neglect, or deliberate acts of destruction over centuries wiped away much of the accumulated wisdom. The exact contents of the library scrolls that may have contained lost works of Euclid, Archimedes, Hypatia, or even earlier Egyptian and Babylonian knowledge remain forever unknown. The loss of the Library of Alexandria is not just a historical event, it is a symbol of the fragility of knowledge. Every scroll destroyed represents countless ideas, discoveries, and insights that might have reshaped human history. Modern archaeologists and historians continue to search for remnants, references, and clues, hoping to reconstruct even fragments of what was once the greatest repository of human thought. Some believe that secret texts may still lie buried beneath the sands of Alexandria, preserved against the odds, waiting to reveal truths lost to time. The story of the Library of Alexandria serves as a stark reminder. Human civilization can achieve incredible heights of intellectual achievement, yet even the most monumental endeavors are vulnerable to destruction. And so, the library's legend continues to inspire curiosity, imagination, and the relentless quest for knowledge, echoing across millennia as a testament to humanity's eternal desire to understand the universe. The loss of the Library of Alexandria is more than just the disappearance of books. It represents a monumental gap in human knowledge and cultural memory. Imagine scrolls detailing scientific discoveries, philosophical debates, and historical records that might have advanced civilization centuries ahead of where it actually was. Lost were treatises on mathematics, astronomy, medicine, and engineering, some possibly containing knowledge that would rival or surpass what Renaissance Europe would later rediscover. Scholars speculate endlessly about what could have been preserved. Original works of Euclid elaborating on geometry in ways never recorded elsewhere, lost plays and poems of Sappho illuminating the ancient Greek worldview, detailed maps of the known world from explorers, and perhaps even accounts of early technologies from Egypt, Persia, and India. The library was not just a collection, it was a hub of intellectual cross-pollination, where minds from across civilizations exchanged ideas, debated theories, and pushed the boundaries of what humanity could understand. Its destruction is a reminder of how knowledge is fragile, dependent not only on discovery but also on preservation, and the political, social, and cultural stability that allows it to thrive. Today, the legend of the Library of Alexandria continues to inspire historians, archaeologists, and writers alike. It drives modern efforts to digitize, catalog, and protect knowledge so that humanity may never again experience such an irreplaceable loss. In many ways, the library symbolizes both the heights of human achievement and the consequences of neglect or catastrophe. It compels us to reflect on the treasures we still have yet to uncover, the histories that may lie buried beneath sand, stone, and water, and the immense responsibility we carry to safeguard and share knowledge for generations to come. The Library of Alexandria remains an eternal challenge to human curiosity, a beacon of what we have achieved and a haunting reminder of what might have been. Its story echoes across time, urging us to seek, to question, and to never stop exploring. Yet the mystery of Roman dodecahedrons deepens the longer they are studied. Scholars have noted that these objects are almost always hollow, with the pentagonal faces forming precise geometric symmetry. The placement of the holes and the protruding knobs suggest that their design was not arbitrary. Some researchers have proposed that the holes were used to hold rods or sticks of varying lengths, possibly to measure distances or angles, functioning as primitive surveying instruments. Others have theorized that they could have been used in the calculation of agricultural cycles, aligning with sunlight or shadow patterns to predict planting or harvest times. What fascinates modern researchers is the sheer craftsmanship. Producing a dodecahedron with such precision in the 1 to 4th century AD required metallurgical expertise far beyond what would be expected for ordinary household items. The bronze or brass alloys used indicate careful smelting and casting techniques, possibly under strict temperature control, as even minor imperfections would ruin the symmetry. Many were polished to a shine, suggesting that aesthetics mattered as much as functionality. The geographic distribution adds another layer of intrigue. Dodecahedrons have been found across France, Germany, Switzerland, Hungary, and England, but conspicuously never in Rome itself. Why would such a sophisticated object appear only in the provinces and not the empire's capital? One theory posits that these were tools or ceremonial objects reserved for the periphery of Roman influence, perhaps as gifts or symbols of alliance with local elites, combining Roman technical prowess with indigenous cultural practices. Adding to the mystery, some dodecahedrons were discovered in graves, often alongside personal belongings, coins, or amulets. This suggests a possible ritual significance, a symbolic role in death or the afterlife. Were these objects meant to guide souls, protect the deceased, or signify status within a secretive cult? Gallo-Roman religious practices often blended Celtic and Roman traditions, and the dodecahedron may have been a secret object whose full meaning was intentionally obscured. A more speculative idea links these objects to astronomy or astrology. Some researchers propose that the varying sizes of the holes could align with stars or constellations, perhaps serving as a tool to track celestial events for divination or seasonal planning. But without written records, we may never know whether this was practical, ceremonial, or a combination of both. Despite centuries of study, Roman dodecahedrons remain one of the most enigmatic artifacts of antiquity. Each new discovery sparks renewed debate, forcing historians, archaeologists, and mathematicians to grapple with questions that challenge our understanding of Roman technology and culture. Were they magical instruments, surveying tools, or merely art objects of high craftsmanship? Or do they represent knowledge lost to time, a secret code waiting for the curious to decode? The answer may lie buried in forgotten texts, private collections, or in the very soil where future discoveries await continuing humanity's unending quest to understand the past. The mystery of Roman dodecahedrons deepens when one considers their complete absence from surviving Roman records. Not a single document, illustration, or written account ever mentions these enigmatic objects. Were they so common that no one thought them worth recording? Or were they so secretive, used only by select individuals or groups, that their existence was deliberately kept hidden? Some researchers speculate that dodecahedrons may have been associated with forbidden rituals or esoteric practices, which could explain why they appear exclusively on the outskirts of the Roman Empire, far from the eyes of central authorities. Today, these curious objects are scattered across European museums, from the Lincoln Museum in England to the Gallo-Roman Museum in Belgium. Each bronze or brass dodecahedron stands as a silent testament to the mysteries the Roman Empire carried into oblivion, a reminder that even the civilization renowned for its engineering and organization harbored secrets it never shared. The Dead Sea Scrolls, hidden wisdom of antiquity. In 1947, a Bedouin shepherd boy near Qumran on the West Bank made a discovery that would shake the foundations of biblical scholarship. While searching for a lost goat, he accidentally threw a stone into a cave and heard the sound of pottery breaking. Inside, he found clay jars containing nearly intact scrolls made of parchment and papyrus. This discovery led archaeologists and local Bedouins to explore 11 caves in the area, ultimately unearthing around 981 manuscripts comprising more than 25, fragments representing roughly 800 original works. Dating from the 3rd century BC to the honest century AD, the Dead Sea Scrolls include the oldest known copies of the Hebrew Bible and other sacred texts. About 40% of the scrolls are biblical manuscripts, preserving nearly every book of the Hebrew Bible. The remaining 60% are non-biblical. Approximately 30% are sectarian writings such as the Community Rule, the War Scroll, and commentaries on the Book of Habakkuk, while the other 30% include texts from the Second Temple period, such as the Book of Enoch and the Book of Jubilees. Among the most unusual is the Copper Scroll, which lists 64 locations containing hidden treasures of gold and silver, a tantalizing enigma that continues to fascinate historians and treasure hunters alike. The origin of these scrolls is still debated. Many scholars attribute them to the Essenes, a Jewish sect known for their ascetic lifestyle near Qumran. Others suggest that the scrolls were collections from Jerusalem's libraries, hidden in the caves to protect them during the Jewish revolt against Rome, which led to the destruction of the Second Temple. Concealed within sealed jars, the scrolls may have been safeguarded to preserve sacred knowledge from enemy hands, or perhaps to restrict access to a select, initiated few. What makes the Dead Sea Scrolls particularly remarkable is their challenge to our understanding of biblical history. Before their discovery, the oldest complete copy of the Hebrew Bible was the Leningrad Codex, dating to 1008 AD. The Qumran scrolls, over 1,000 years older, show striking similarities to the later Masoretic text, confirming the meticulous care with which Jewish scribes preserved scripture across centuries. Yet, mysteries remain. Some scholars propose that the scrolls contain forbidden knowledge, hidden teachings, or even prophecies considered dangerous by contemporary religious authorities. Connections between the Essenes and early Christian figures such as John the Baptist have been suggested, highlighting similarities in purification rituals. Why the scrolls were sealed in jars also raises questions. Were they hidden from war and destruction, or intended only for a chosen group? The caves provide no clues, no tools, no evidence of daily life, only the silent guardianship of ancient texts. It is possible that this concealment relates to the Jewish practice of Geniza, where sacred texts that were worn or damaged were buried to prevent desecration. Together, Roman dodecahedrons and the Dead Sea Scrolls illustrate humanity's long-standing dance with mystery. One is a riddle of craftsmanship and purpose lost to time, the other, a repository of knowledge hidden from the world, waiting for the curious to piece together its secrets. Both remind us that history is never fully written, some chapters remain buried, awaiting discovery. Deep within the arid heart of Death Valley, California, a peculiar and almost mystical phenomenon has puzzled scientists and adventurers for over a century. On the cracked, dry surface of Racetrack Playa, silent stones appear to glide across the flat, barren ground, leaving long, winding trails etched into the mud as if guided by an invisible hand. Remarkably, no one has ever observed these stones in motion. Yet the trails they leave behind are undeniable proof that something extraordinary is taking place. Racetrack Playa, a dried lake bed straddling the border of California and Nevada within Death Valley National Park, has long been the stage for this geological mystery. Some stones leave straight, unbroken tracks, while others carve sudden curves or change direction abruptly, as though responding to an unseen force. Intriguingly, not all stones move simultaneously. Some remain perfectly still for decades before shifting their position. In 2011, a research team led by Richard Norris and Jim Norris set out to solve this enigma. They equipped 15 stones with GPS trackers, installed a weather station, and set up time-lapse cameras across the playa. What they expected to be a long wait of 5 to 10 years yielded results much sooner. By December 2013, over 60 stones were recorded sliding across the flat surface, carving new trails right before their eyes. The researchers discovered that the stone's movement depended on a rare combination of environmental conditions. Light rainfall created a shallow layer of water 7 to 10 centimeters deep across the playa. Overnight, freezing temperatures formed a thin layer of ice, only 3 to 6 millimeters thick, what the team called window pane ice. As the sun warmed the surface, this fragile ice melted and gently nudged the stones forward. During the winter of 2013-2014, one stone traveled 224 meters, leaving a trail that could last 3 to 4 years before natural erosion erased it. This explanation ruled out older theories of hurricane-force winds, slick mats of algae, or even the more fantastical ideas involving Earth's magnetic fields, magic, or extraterrestrial intervention. Yet questions remain. Why don't all stones move simultaneously? Can the largest rocks, weighing up to 320 kilograms, shift in the same manner? Racetrack Playa stands as a reminder that nature continues to astonish, even in the most desolate places. Lost Labyrinth of Egypt. Over 2,500 years ago, an ancient Greek historian described a wonder so vast that he claimed it surpassed even Egypt's Great Pyramids, the legendary Labyrinth of Hawara. According to the historian Herodotus, this colossal underground complex contained thousands of rooms adorned with hieroglyphs and murals, a sprawling maze of corridors, halls, and chambers stretching beyond human comprehension. For centuries, the labyrinth was relegated to the realm of legend, doubted as mere fiction. Yet in 2008, archaeologists excavating near the Pyramid of Hawara made a startling discovery. The foundations of a massive labyrinth emerged from beneath the desert sands. Could this be the very maze that Herodotus described? Located in the Fayum oasis, about 90 kilometers south of Cairo, The Hawara Labyrinth is believed to lie near the pyramid of Pharaoh Amenemhat III, the last powerful king of Egypt's 12th dynasty. Herodotus wrote that the labyrinth had two levels, nearly three, 0 rooms above ground and 500 chambers below, all interconnected in a confusing maze of passageways. The historian's vivid account emphasized the labyrinth's complexity, claiming it was a marvel of engineering and artistry unlike anything seen elsewhere in Egypt. Archaeological evidence confirms that the labyrinth was built using large limestone blocks and adorned with intricately carved reliefs, but much of its grandeur has been lost to time and sand. The structure may have served administrative, ceremonial, or funerary purposes, though its full function remains uncertain. The Hawara Labyrinth, like so many other ancient mysteries, challenges our understanding of what ancient civilizations could achieve. It is a reminder that even beneath the deserts of Egypt, secrets lie buried, waiting for the curious to uncover them. Herodotus described the labyrinth in extraordinary detail. 12 roofed courts, 6 to the north and 6 to the south, interconnected by winding passages, corridors, and rooms supported by exquisitely carved pillars. The walls were covered in hieroglyphs and intricate paintings, while each courtyard was encircled by flawlessly joined white stone columns. He famously wrote, "If all the works of the Greeks were put together, they would not equal this labyrinth in labor and expense." Herodotus was not alone in his observations. Ancient historians such as Strabo, Theodorus Siculus, and Manetho also referred to a colossal structure at Hawara, with some claiming to have explored it personally. Curiously, the Egyptians did not call it a labyrinth. To them, it may have been a funerary complex designed to safeguard the tombs of kings and the sacred crocodiles they revered. Herodotus even recounted that the labyrinth's keeper refused to show him the underground chambers, citing the presence of royal tombs and the remains of holy crocodiles. The scale of the complex was staggering. The labyrinth was enclosed by a wall measuring 385 meters long and 158 meters wide, making it larger than both the Karnak and Luxor temples combined. Yet the mystery did not end with its rediscovery in 2008. Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities ordered that the findings remain unpublished, citing national security. Researcher Louis de Cordier, head of the Mataa Group, waited 2 years for permission to share the discovery, but received no response. Eventually, he created a website to reveal the labyrinth to the public, yet no major excavations have taken place since, and access remains tightly restricted. Why would such a potentially history-rewriting discovery be kept secret? Some theories suggest that the Hawara Labyrinth was a protective airy complex built to safeguard the tomb of Amenemhat III and possibly his daughter. Historians speculate it could contain treasures, artifacts, and texts from ancient civilizations that predate recorded history. According to some ancient sources, the labyrinth was designed to confuse and deter tomb robbers. However, doubts persist about the grandeur described by Herodotus. Some scholars argue that ancient historians, including Pliny, may have exaggerated or relied on second-hand accounts and may never have actually seen the structure. Over millennia, the Fayum region has been altered by flooding and stone quarrying, potentially destroying or burying much of the labyrinth beneath Nile mud. Today, the Hawara Labyrinth remains an unsolved riddle. Radar scans confirm the existence of underground chambers, yet no one is permitted to explore them fully. It stands as a testament to the brilliance and ambition of ancient Egypt, and a reminder that even in the modern age, some secrets of the past remain beyond our reach.